Hi there.
Hi, welcome to Curious Collection. I'm Will.
I'm Cinnamon.
Yesterday we talked about people that were selling out of their eBay businesses or their online reselling or even their in-person resale businesses. And we kind of gave some tips and tricks and some pointers as to what to look for, what to avoid. So we actually had a comment from Cheddar Trees, and they said, what's our contingency plan? So we kind of hint at that a couple of times throughout the last few months. And, you know, we do have a contingency plan. If our eBay or our online reselling business just absolutely falls apart, what are we going to do? And I think that's important that everyone should have a contingency plan. Now, I've heard resellers say, I have no plan B. This has to work.
Well, and some people say that not having a plan B just means that you work that much harder on plan A. And for some people, maybe that's true. We're planners. We really are.
I worry if I don't have a plan B, then...
And C and D and E.
If I don't have a plan B, then is plan B living in the car? Like, is it or do we have to live in the shed? Like, I think you got to have a plan. Yeah. I think that, we
don't want to use the plan.
As business people, we always have a plan.
Yeah.
So
you have to look ahead.
You know, you have to be, have that mindset, because let's face facts, that eBay income is very inconsistent. You can have a $6,000 month. You can have a $12,000 month.
Yeah.
And they can be back to back. So,
well, and we had a plan B before we ever went into reselling. I mean, we walked into having the eBay store with a plan in mind before you ever even started with the business. Right.
So at the end of 2019, I had talked to you and said, like, look, I have a bonus check coming up in April of 2020. This is before we knew anything that was going on with anything.
Before COVID.
And decided that at that point, I had enough of retail. I worked in retail management and retail, working on, heavy equipment and stuff for 20 years. And I'm done. I've had enough. I've put in my time. We've generated some savings. We paid off all of our debts. We're free from that debt burden, and we no longer have to live under that umbrella. And I want to do something more with my life, something that I find fulfilling and something that'll allow me to be with the family more.
Right.
And so we started looking at it and we started saving.
Yeah. And did we start saving? Holy moly. And I was working nursing at the hospital.
Right. So we paid off we sold our home, moved across the country, and we bought another home with cash. So that was a significant change in our lifestyle. The house that we bought didn't have nearly the value as the house that we sold, and moved us from a relatively urban environment to a relatively rural environment. So that was a big lifestyle change for us. But it allowed us to bring down that cost of living.
Right. And I was still working at the hospital full time. So you had the opportunity to take this business, which we literally started from the garbage, which is in and of itself a different story. We literally, I was going down the road, I saw a bank of lockers, and so I told him to go get those lockers, and we sold them on Facebook Marketplace, and that's what started the snowball of Curious Collection. So yeah, I was still working at the hospital, at a different hospital at this point, and he was able to throw everything that he had into the business, knowing that everything could be reinvested into the business. Right. So we did not need the business to pay for anything other than just get it started.
Right. So the actual intention of the business was not to be a full-time income for both of us. We've always lived on one income. Our entire 15-year marriage, it's always been one income. And so we intended that we were going to continue to live that way, grow this business into something that we could use to offset retirement. It was never intended to be a full-time income for either one of us, just merely, maybe $1,000 or $2 every month so that we don't deplete our retirement savings.
Right.
And the business grew much faster and much better than what we actually had planned.
It did. And the 3 years leading up to me leaving nursing, he just absolutely transformed this business from nothing to being able to theoretically support the household. We looked at our finances and we said, okay, well, where we are right now, we have a buffer. We have this safe zone of savings that was available to us, not retirement, not those
right.
accounts.
We had developed an emergency fund and a little bit of a savings, and it was enough that we said, when you decided that you wanted to leave nursing, if we get down to 2 months of expenses. Now, keep in mind,
very low expenses.
We own our cars, we own our home. So our cost of living is literally groceries and utilities. Mm-hmm. That's all we're talking about. That's a very small amount of money.
Right.
So, but we decided at that point,
before I ever left nursing,
a year and a half ago now, that if our savings depleted to that point, we would enact our emergency plan.
Right.
Okay. So before the emergency savings is gone, we need to act and do plan B. And so plan B is that you would go back to nursing.
Right. And I mean, I still keep up with my CEUs for nursing. I still keep up. I actually just renewed my license. And I actually still have contacts with the places that I've worked. If I ever changed my mind and wanted to go back, they would, trust me, they'd be happy to have me back. So I don't want to do that. I love my coworker now, and he's the best coworker I've ever had.
Right. So we really do enjoy what we do, and that's why we continue to do what we do.
But we're not walking into this blindly either.
Right. It's not that plan B is something that we can't do. It's a choice. Mm-hmm. And I really look at life for most people in that it is a series of choices. And where do you want to go with your life? What are your life's goals? If you haven't sat down and examined that, then, that may be a challenge. That may be part of the problem, in that we all need to have a long-term vision of what our intent is. And, we saw this as being a career path that could push us into retirement and carry us through those early years of a retirement, because we've always planned and wanted to have an early retirement. We didn't want to retire
when we're too old to be able to enjoy having a retirement.
Right. So, that was always the plan, is that we had intended to be able to retire at 60, no later than 62. Now, for our age bracket, they
want us to retire at 85. It's just absurdity.
They've talked about 72. So that's not realistic for most people.
No.
Especially when you're doing physical manual jobs. So we decided on our own that we were going to make, 15 years ago, we were going to make it so that we were going to be able to retire at 60 or 62, somewhere in that range. So, that this was just part of that plan. And so thankfully it's worked to this point.
It has.
But we have days like yesterday.
Oh, yesterday's bad. It makes you question your entire existence when you have a bad day, because our total sales yesterday were in the crapper, like so bad.
Yeah, I'll get the sales data.
Yeah.
Yesterday we did $61.33 in sales.
I don't even
Today
know
how it is 9 a.m. And we're already at $58.65 in our main store, with a sale in our second store that was a $15 sale.
Yeah.
So we've already done more today than we did yesterday. So the other part of our business is it's not just our eBay store. Now, obviously, we talk about eBay all the time. That's where the majority of our income comes from. But the other day we had done our breakdown on our numbers, and we had sold items at the local auction house. Now the auction house takes 50% in fees. So that's why it's our secondary line and not our primary line of income. Because again, if they're taking half of all proceeds and they're not going to achieve, and they're not going to achieve the same prices that eBay does. So that's a secondary line for us. But
Right.
you know, there are people out there that are technically resellers that just source items to sell at their local auction houses. That is a plan. That legitimately could be a plan for someone to put into place.
Right.
My eBay business isn't working. I have all these great sourcing contacts. I can get the item super cheap.
Sure.
Sell it at the auction.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, we do that with our old stagnant inventory.
Yeah.
Or items that we just can't sell on eBay.
We also have vendors who
Right.
have flea market booths.
And they're looking for inventory.
Right.
So we will occasionally wholesale to them.
You know, we actually were going to try to do another Whatnot show. So if you guys aren't busy on Saturday at 6:30 p.m., that would be a lovely
Right.
opportunity for
Right.
you guys to tune into Whatnot.
Yeah, we've had our reservations about the platform. I think we've been very clear about that.
Yep.
That, you know,
Not changing our mind there.
we-
Let's hope that it does.
We had tried to do a jewelry sale. That was not a success in our measure of success.
Nope.
So we're actually going to try to sell some postcards and ephemera, some photographs.
Yeah.
And we're going to see how that works on the platform. Perhaps because there's less competition in that category, that's something that we might be able to do better in, or not. We'll see.
Yeah.
The only way to know is to try.
Right.
So again, you know, we also sell on Etsy, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace. We have experience. We
Right.
work on all of these different platforms.
We've tried Bonanza.
Right.
You know, so and we're always open to new suggestions.
We've even sold at local flea markets. So we've gone to a couple of different markets. We've paid the rent for the booth, set up for the weekend,
Yep.
and, you know, show up and sold our stuff live in person. So
We've tried antique markets as well a couple of different times. You know, the just before 2020 hit when we had the dolls.
we did, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. So yeah, we had something in an antique mall. We had a consignment booth in a flea market where they would do the cash out for us. They were open 6 days a week. So there's a lot of different options here, a lot of different ways that you can cut this reselling business.
Absolutely.
And we want to diversify against just eBay. Now, I know that there's a lot of other people that are talking about cross-listing and cross-posting, and if that works for you, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
I haven't tried it yet. We had done, like she said, we had done Bonanza, where Bonanza is automated and they just, you know, snag all those listings and then automatically cancel the stuff that sells, but it didn't have any sales.
Yeah.
So for me to have to go to that platform, check it out, we offer free shipping. They don't have the same shipping options that eBay does. So then you're shipping items without tracking. It really just doesn't work for like the postcards and stuff. You have to charge shipping on postcards to sell on that platform. So we decided that, you know, Bonanza just wasn't for us, which is fine. You know, it wasn't getting us any sales anyway.
Right.
So,
But I mean, the point is that you do have to have a plan. You have to know what success is. You have to know what failure is.
right. So defining success is going to look different for everyone. And I think that's really
Absolutely.
important, that you have to have an idea of what success is. You know, like I said, for us, success is meaning that we don't have to enact that plan B or C or however far down the line going and getting a real job is. You know, that right there is our measure of success.
Yeah. As long as we get to continue doing this together and support the household, then that's success in my book, you know? But it means that we're driving a used car, and it means that, you know, we don't live in a McMansion, and it mean like, so whatever your definition of success is going to dictate how you run your business. Our definition of success is this.
Right. There's plenty of people, and you know, there's nothing wrong with it if you want to have the brand new car, if you
Sure.
want to have the nice house by the pool, and, you know, have the golf cart, and, you know, have all of the luxury amenities of, you know, 21st century living. That's, you know, that's if that's your vision of success, that's awesome. We're so happy for you. But, you know, we know that we can live without certain luxury items. And if that means we get to live the life that we want, we're willing to sacrifice that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it does take a lot of introspection to figure out what it is that you want. And then also, you know, again, like I said, we're planners. So we do have plan B, and we've already decided, like I said, before we ever started, when plan B was going to be enacted. But then we also have all of these, you know, our hands in lots of pots.
And that's what I don't even like to label that as plan B. Like, the idea that my eBay business fails, that means zero sales, right?
Right.
Because, you know, there are certain offsets. I feel like going and getting that job outside of the house is like plan D or E.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even the first step. It's eBay sales are way below expectations, and then we're cross-listing, and we're doing whatnot, and we're monetizing YouTube, and we're, you know, sell my truck. You know, we don't need
that's part
multiple vehicles.
Yep.
You know, like, there's
that's one of
so
our
many
contingency plans.
There's so many different levels before hitting that we're out of the industry. And frankly, like she said, we can live on one income. We can live on nursing income. So
right, and I mean, I could just go PRN and work a couple of days.
That's part-time.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, you can work a couple of days a week, or even a couple of days a month, and be able to keep our heads afloat with the business.
Right. So for us to just completely abandon eBay or reselling as a career path, and, you know, just totally give up on that idea.
Yeah, we're very blessed in that, you know, we do have plenty of safety nets to catch us.
Right. And then, you know, hypothetically, we've talked about this as well. What if something happens to one of us and it's just unsustainable to continue to run an eBay business?
Nope. Nope. I swear, like, if something happened to him, there is no possible way that I would continue this, any part of it. I'm calling the auction house. I'm saying, all right, take all of the inventory. I am done.
Well, and again, I think that it is important that if you are running a type of business like this, that you do have a conversation with your friends, with your family, with your children. What do you do in the event that something happens?
We've had the conversation.
Right. A lot of people, and you worked in hospice. And so that's kind of where I'm going with this, is that there's a lot of people that don't have end-of-life planning and don't have estate planning.
Yes, because if you talk of it, then bad things will happen, which is crap, because you need to have plans in place before things happen.
Right. Bad things happen all the time, and when you know what to do, it's not a tragedy.
If something were to happen to me, obviously he's going to keep going with the business. You know, he may not go into the jewelry and that type of a thing, but it would make total sense for him to continue running the business and running the household off of the business. And, you know, someday maybe William will come and help run the business with him. You know, for that would make total complete sense. I'm not running this business without him. I'll go back to nursing. There is no way, you know. But again, these are conversations that you would need to, you know,
so
to have.
I think that, you know, it's also important that as a business person, we know the contexts that are out there. We know the people that are working in the industry. We know the people that are buying and selling the types of products that we do, and we have their information. And, you know, it honestly wouldn't be unreasonable for someone to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to put together a red folder. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with a red folder. Red folder is, if something happens to me and I'm incapacitated, this is what needs to happen.
Right.
Your will, you know, your estate planning.
All of the account numbers for your investment accounts.
Right. Put the contacts for the people who are going to buy your inventory, or how to handle it. Because the reality is, we have 500 pieces of Fiesta ware. And if I had to, you know, if our children had to figure out what are they going to do with that, they're going to have no clue. They're gonna have an estate sale, and they're going to get $1 a piece, and they're gonna lose out on their inheritance, because all this junk is what they're going to inherit. So, like help them figure out how to monetize this stuff when you can.
Right. Because we know we have a plan in place, but that doesn't mean squat if something happens to us and we're not able to communicate that to our loved ones. So, we, like he said, we have the red binder, and we've talked with the people that are important to us in our life, and we've told them, like, this is where you find it, and this is the information that you need, and, we want to make it as easy as possible for other people, and that's kind of how you have to think in life. You have to have backup plans, but they also have to be available to the people who need to work them.
Right. So I think the moral of the story is that we overplan everything.
Yes, we do.
And so if you're unfamiliar with that about us, here's some inside information.
Welcome to our show.
So let us know what your backup plans are. What's your plan if your eBay business completely falls apart? Mm-hmm. Most people out there, from the people that I've had the opportunity to talk to, are not full-time resellers. They're part-time resellers. They're dabblers.
Well, and maybe eBay is your backup plan.
Right.
Maybe like we had talked about originally, this was just supposed to be our supplement to retirement. It was never supposed to take care of the whole household. And, we've been so blessed, and he's such a hard worker that he was able to make it into so much more than we ever anticipated. But, eBay could be your backup plan to be able to pay those bills that maybe your main source of income just isn't enough.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's really hard to say, and that's again, we always talk about it. That's the amazing thing about eBay, is you can kind of make it what you want.
Absolutely.
If you want to work it as a side hustle, or if you want to just have it as a hobby, it can do that. Or if you want to put every waking hour into it, it can be a full-time business. So thank you so much for stopping in. Drop those comments down below. What are you doing? What's your backup plan? And like and subscribe.
All right. Thanks so much. Good luck to you guys out there.